I couldn't do it. I learned a lot from being at the temple, despite only doing 3 out of 7 days. Turns out, suddenly getting your menstruation in April heat while fasting for 19 hours takes its toll. But I was too weak to push through. I realized something there. I spent my days in this half-dazed stupor, with work, with school, with showering, any mundanity. I disassociate. The point of Buddhism is to be present, to be at home in your body, and stay clear of desire. Desire is what causes suffering. And I was a slave to every whim, even though it doesn't fulfill me. Running away from the temple was proof of that. My lack of backbone. I literally wanted a clean shower more than to confront myself, even though I traveled all the way from Singapore, 20 kilometers from my father's home in the city, to be here. When I watch YouTube, I'm already thinking of the next video to watch. Or I'm using another screen while I'm zoning out and listening. Or I'm reading the comments instead of focusing on the video. And I'm always thinking of the next, and the next, and the next, and the next video I could be watching. And that's just one example of being unable to focus. So many of our lives are spent mindlessly like this. The only times where I'm actually present are with my lover, my family, and when I'm caring for children, since they're the only things that make my life worthwhile. But that shouldn't be the case. In Buddhism, you cannot get attached to anyone. You need to be attached to yourself and the fact that you're this breathing, alive human being. You need to focus on the present. You have to be fighting for yourself, because any one of those people could pass away. You cannot solely rely on others to build your inner self. That was a reality I could not face. Couldn't I? There was a time where I wasn't comfortable looking people in the eye or be the first one to strike up a conversation. That was unfathomable. Some of you know this already, but for 8 months after my O-levels, all I did was isolate. I rarely went out. I didn't see sunlight. I didn't get a job. I had no school. I had no life. I had no structure. I had no one to talk to. I had nothing to do but be alone and introspect. And it broke my brain. I know what it's like to be alone, and I came out worse. As a nun at the temple, the bell gongs at 3:30 a.m. to wake up. From 4 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., we meditate. I did all of this diligently. Trust me, I take rules and schedules very seriously, but that was not the hard part. What tortured me was that I was informed not to look at the sky, not to look people in the eye, that even talking to others is discouraged because it does not help with learning oneself. And secretly I wondered, you want me to go back to my former self, undo all my progress? At night, when the dogs were howling, the crickets chirping, my blood seeping under me, I wondered what all of this was for, why I chose to be a nun in this profuse heat and isolate for 7 days. I wanted my mind to be better, to learn to be the master of my own thoughts, rather than the other way around. I wanted to stop worrying and being neurotic and learn to calm down by myself. Instead, I began to have thoughts of being watched again. That the master, despite men not being allowed to visit the nuns' housing, was outside my door. I saw the shadow of a hand next to the doorknob. I legitimately thought he was outside listening to me, talking about me with other men that I've never seen before, that he could read me. Being at the temple brought my delusions and paranoia creeping back slowly. It was fine, because I came here to overcome thoughts like that. but it alarmed me because I hadn't had paranoia like that in months. Being at the temple was doing things to my brain, things that daily life never lets me confront. Because things are always so easy, so comfortable, so soft. I always have light, electricity, faces on every tiny icon to talk to, notifications to pop up in my feed. I had distractions in every corner. Here, I could do nothing but face the dark. So I quit halfway. But the journey's not over. I am taking the temple with me, from the hot gravel of Thailand's concrete to the cold steel and glass triumvirates of Singapore, taking its lessons inside my heart, like a luggage. I found it interesting what the master said about countries like Singapore, Japan, Hong Kong. We are a nation of hyper-competitive, sharp, hungry, kiasu people. We prize numbers over knowing ourselves. On the outside, our nation is developed. Wow, look at our buildings, so tall, so 窄耶. Look at our education, #1 in the world. #1 for this and that. Look at the stats. We are one of the richest and the most technologically advanced. But this is what the master had to say. Our nation is like an insecure child at its heart. And I know what he means by this. We do not have room to breathe or nurture art. We can't just live life by our own terms slowly. Everything is fast-paced. He said that the mind has grown, but the heart hasn't caught up. The older generations used to know how to take life slowly. Those original Chinese and Malay settlers. But we've lost that skill. We disregard the old, demolishing because we worship the new. My Popo said, it didn't always used to be like this. And that's why I want to stay. I don't want to just be another brain drain by flying off to the UK or Australia because they have a richer art scene. Singapore is still my home. She can only grow up when the people grow here.